Okay, the chat is here, so I can see if you write me something. Hey everyone, the stream is starting. Today I'm gonna work on a Rust project. Let's see, can I see this window? Can I put it on always on top? Okay, great. This should do it. And the chat window, let's reduce it a little bit in size and also put it always on top, so I can see what all of you are talking about, if any one of you is gonna write in the chat. So the purpose of the project today is very simple. I want to write an extension for Magento that would allow me to quickly cache all the image sizes in order to retrieve the dimensions, in order to be able to embed them into image attributes during the page rendering. However, the standard get image size of PHP is super slow. It's impossible to execute more than one get image size on a web server. So considering I have some knowledge in Rust, I'm gonna start with creating an absolutely new library that would be possible to use as command line tool together as a socket server with which PHP can communicate and tell, hey, give me the size of this image, and then it will return you back the size of the image as a result. So let me grab a sip of coffee and I'm gonna switch to the code view. So what we're gonna start with, first of all, here is my editor. For now it's completely empty project, nothing is installed here. So you see in my repository mostly I have a git ignore. I just okay, so cargo is already adds target to the git ignore. Then I also want to add an idea folder as well to the git ignore because I don't want to commit this one as well. So I'm gonna add the git ignore and I'm gonna push it. I need to commit it first, of course. Adjust git ignore to this message out to just ignore to exclude ID settings. Okay, good, and now I can push it. If you want to follow up with the repository, you can follow the link in the description of the stream. Now I'm gonna go and initialize a new cargo package. So let's take a look at cargo. Cargo is a tool in Rust language that allows you to create packages and publish them if you wish. So it's like Composer for PHP, but this one is bundled together with the language, so this is kind of cool. Okay, so here we have cargo init -- help. Let's see what can I specify over there. Okay, I'm gonna use a binary application template because I'm not gonna write a library. I'm gonna write an application that you can run. Edition I'm gonna specify for sure because there's two editions of the Rust language. There is 2015 and 2018. 2018 is the one that I need to use as a recent async features of the language and other stuff. Okay, so this is great. I'm gonna start with the name. I'm gonna call it async image dimensions, right? Or probably I don't need to specify async here in a cargo package name, because this one gonna be describing it much more better. So it's gonna be image dimension server with possibility to run it as CLI tool. So let's init like that. And another one was edition, right? So edition gonna be 2018, and then we're also gonna have, yeah, the bin is already specified by default. Okay, everything should be fine. So now my project has been initialized by has been modified by the cargo. So I have a new directory here, src with main.rs, and I'm just gonna go ahead and commit this one into the repository. Oh, I need first of all to add the files itself. So I'm developing develop branch as task again. Okay, so I'm adding cargo log, cargo tunnel src. Let's see, and I'm also gonna add a git ignore here as well. So let's go forward and let's commit it and tell initial cargo package, right? And push it. Okay, so everything is on GitHub right now. And now what first of all I want to do with this application, right? So I want to receive a list of file names for for arguments, right? Or I want to run an HTTP server. Whatever I'm deciding to do, the most important one is that behind the scenes I'm gonna access images, image sizes, and image types, right? So what I need to do, I need first of all to create some images, right? I think I will use GIMP for that. I'm just gonna create some empty image. Let's create some HD image. Oh my goodness, the background here is terrible. You probably don't see my screen, right? So let me quickly add it to another view in OBS. Let me add another thing. Oh, actually, I'm just gonna duplicate this one and I will call it GIMP. Okay, so this is a new scene, and instead of this window you're gonna see GIMP here. Let me see. Here it is. Okay, you see this bloody color. Terrible, very terrible. Okay, so sorry for your eyes. Now I'm gonna remove a background here. Let's see. Okay, now it's better. And I'm gonna create a new empty layer, and on this empty layer I'm just gonna fill it up with the white color, right? And this is how much it is, 128 by 720. Let's see, let me take a text. And is my text as well? Why? Okay, this is weird. If I don't use usually GIMP, but because I'm on Linux, unfortunately Adobe products are not available. Okay, now it's at least showing something. So 128 by 720. Okay. And we're gonna move it into the can I, why I can't select it? Select a layer. Okay, now I can select it. This is not that user friendly as I expected. Okay, so 1 to 8, this is gonna be 350 and 10. It's in the middle, and here it's perfectly centered. Okay, good. And now I'm gonna just save it as a PNG file into my libraries. Where is my libraries? Ooh. Where are the libraries? Here they are. Okay, I think on my image dimensions, and I'm gonna create a new folder called fixtures. So this is gonna be my fixture for an image. However, okay, I don't want to save it as a GIMP file. I want to save it as a PNG. Oh my goodness, I have to go again into this directory. Okay, this time it's going to be faster. So it's going to be 720p PNG, right? 720p. Oh my goodness. Okay, PNG, whatever. Now we're gonna save it. No way. Why it happens, GIMP? Why you don't store the previously exported folder? And okay, now it's better. And now I'm gonna export it also in as a GPG, right? So let's do it. Quality doesn't matter. And I also want to export this file as GIF or GIF, whatever you prefer. Okay, and another one, the last one probably gonna be WebP, right? Hope GIMP supports WebP. Wow, perfect. So export. Good. So that's a good result. And for the sake of making sure we have all the variations, let's also create the one that's gonna be 720 by 680, I think. I don't remember exactly how it should be resized, but we will learn now. So let's scale the image. Let's scale the image from this size. Yeah, let's go 6. Oh, it should be 640. All right. So, okay, good. Scale, good. So it should be 640 by 360. No problem. Edit, yeah. 640 by 360. Good. Okay. So now we can go on and save. Repeat the same process. So basically just export into WebP, but this time it's gonna be 640. Or wait a second, it's gonna be actually 360. Okay. Okay, export. Good. And export as, and this time, oh no, this time we're gonna export as GIF, and we're gonna again export as yeah, JPEG, right? Export, and we're gonna export as PNG. Okay, good. Now we are probably ready to go on with the development, right? So let's just close this thing. Yeah, I don't care. And let me fix my OBS again. So somehow it actually edited my current selected window. So here's my editor again. And let me remove this thing. Okay, good. So let's go back to the editor. Now, as we have some image sizes, right, we can write some expectations. And the first thing that we want to create some tests for, we want to make sure that when we ask for the image size, the file first of all needs to exist. So probably first of all, yeah, we will need to write a simple socket server that's gonna accept an HTTP message, and we're gonna start with that one. So we're gonna include Tokyo here, and also I'm gonna use the image size library that is already available on Cargo in order to supply the bytes of the image that I read from the file system, and then just do everything with what I need with it. So from the Tokyo, actually I don't need all the Tokyo features, so I'm gonna specify a version of Tokyo I'm gonna use, and I'm gonna specify features. I think I need to do it like, no, I have to specify like that. And features are gonna be, I think gonna be TCP, definitely. Also, let me switch to the browser, and let's go into the browser window and go into Cargo Tokyo. Right, so let's start with this one, and then we will narrow down the features, right? So I'm just gonna copy it here as a definition. So 0.2 features full, What do I need here? What kind of actually features are available over there? Let's actually go then into the website maybe, and let's go into documentation. Oh, documentation is not that easy, right? So let's take a look at GitHub page. I think GitHub page is a good idea to go. All right, so let's find this link here, where it is, repository, here it is. And here I think you can find the related projects. However, I'm interested in available features because I don't want to include all the Tokio features. I just want to include some of them. I remember there was a page somewhere where you would find all the features listed and which of them you can actually disable or enable. However, yeah, this is weird that I can't find it here. Okay. So what can we do? We can definitely take a look at the Tokio itself, right? And into Cargo Tomu, and here we can find features that are available. Yeah, here it is. So the full is blocking, DNS, FS, IO, STD. Okay, so I need IO standard. This one will provide me with all of the needed stuff for working with STD.io, but probably I'm not gonna do it right now. I'm gonna delay it. Runtime. So which one I wanna have? I wanna have probably util, and I want to have threaded. Stream, definitely wanna have that one. Stream allows you to create some kind of a queue for waiting for the retrieval of the data or something like that. Okay, sync time. Okay, so file system I will definitely need. Okay, so let's specify it. So from features, I first of all need a runtime. Yeah, so I will need a runtime threaded, right? Or actually, let me just copy over all of them, and then we will just narrow them down to the features that I will actually need, right? So let's do that. Why it complains? Hey, stop being red here. Okay, so what it complains about? Okay. Okay, what's up? Editor. Let's clear this issue up. So version, right? What's wrong with it? Okay, let's use an alternative syntax. So sometimes you can, in a cargo file, oh my goodness, how did I land here? So in cargo file you can specify dependencies, then .tokyo, and then you can specify version. and then you can specify on a separate line features. So this is definitely gonna work, because that one seems like drives my editor crazy. I'm using, by the way, CLion, not regular IntelliJ IDEA, because it has better Rust integration. Apparently, I don't know why. The Rust plugin for IntelliJ is not as good as CLion, but this is it. This is how it is. Okay, so dependent is Tokyo. Here is I'm specifying the tools. I think I don't need time, because this library can be completely asynchronous, so I don't need timers and timeouts. Sync, probably not, or yes or no. Probably yes, I will need it, because I need to spread the load across multiple threads. So we have process I don't need. Net I definitely need. Macros I will need those ones. Utils and drivers, yes. DNS I don't need at all. Blocking as well, I'm not gonna use blocking feature of the Tokyo library. Signal, do I'm gonna support signals? Probably not. Okay, then we have stream. Stream is what I need, and real-time threaded, not much probably, but yeah, threaded is the best choice, I think. Okay, so this is all the features I need so far. Let's quickly do a cargo build. Let's see, everything compiles. Good, everything is compiled, and I can start writing some tests. So I have all of this stuff in place. As far as I remember, like, they introduced a possibility to write tests in Tokyo, so that's quite cool. If you go here, you can have some kind of Tokyo test, and this is very good. Like, this is allows me to use asynchronous code within a test case, and this is quite nice. And let's see. Let me close this window and go back to my editor. Okay. Let's see. So how does test look like? So you usually create a new module for tests, right? And when you create a new module for tests, you also mark it here as CFG. CFG, it's kind of configuration parameter during the build time. When you build a development build, as a test is added as a CFG option. If you have a regular build, the tests are usually excluded, so you can combine them together in your binary. Now the test itself, let's write a simple test. I think I need to specify async fn test something, just to make sure that everything is running right. And here I'm gonna do the special Tokyo test macro. So let's see how it goes on. Let's see if I can run all my tests. Okay, tests running. Everything looks fine and good, so I can write asynchronous tests. This is very important, because I'm gonna just write some functionalities and some functions. I'm gonna feed some data into a function, and it's gonna return me a result asynchronously. So first of all, as we're running command line application, we can write everything in one file, but it's a good idea just to create a separate file and call it, let's say, library. So yes, add it to the repository. And here in the main file, you can just include this library by specifying mod lib. It means that everything from the lib is going to be included into the main, and I can safely just move this. I can just move this piece of a test code into the lib, and I can just quickly run. I see it works. Okay, great. However, in the lib itself, I'm gonna also probably later on separate it as well. So let's start with a simple thing. Let's start with writing something. It's also a new experience for me with Rust 2.0, because I didn't write any 0.2 version of the Tokyo code. So for me it's a little bit new as well, because before I was writing the code for a different version of this library. Let's see. Let's take a look at examples. So examples will give us some information about how something gets implemented. So what is interesting for me is some kind of probably HO TCP server. So this is our TCP listener, so it binds to a socket. Then you read some bytes into a buffer, you wait for it, and then you write everything back. So this is how the HO server works here, and you have like a buffer of fixed length of 1 kilobyte. So what we are gonna do, we definitely wanna create some kind of an input from the end user. So we wanna parse every single pass we receive on the input of a socket. We wanna parse it as let's say some kind of a string that we can work with, and we're gonna type it. So for instance, I remember in Tokyo in previous versions there was some kind of codecs. Let's see, a codec for UDP. Let's see what's in here. Okay, so there's bytes codec. So you can create a framed wrapper around the socket. Okay, and then you can do a lot of stuff with it. So let's take a look at the documentation itself. Let's go into Tokyo itself. Let's go to the documentation, API docs, because guides doesn't show us anything. Documentation in that area is not that good. As for instance, other thing. Oh, here's where I saw all the features. Yeah, it was in documentation on the main page. But for me, okay. So what I'm planning to do, I'm planning to create a codec, and the codec is gonna take an input from the customer, for instance, for the framed strings, and do all the other stuff. Okay, where is the separation by modules? Okay, here it is. So here we have, let's say, feature IO. Okay, so IO, what do we have in IO? We have Stream. Okay, so this is a different. And how about the codec? Okay, so let's use something outrageous. Let's use search function codec. Okay, let's go into the main package codec. Okay, lines. Okay, Tokyo IO lines. So this is what I was looking for. So what it does, it allows you to get a stream of lines. Okay. And so is the type that determines buffer at read. In this example, we use cursor to iterate over all the lines in a byte slice. Okay, so here is some interesting idea. How can we already run some tests based on it, right? And here this is very interesting. Like oh, I see. So I need to yeah, this is a little bit weird. What is it tells us here? So it tells us a lot of stuff, but reading stuff, but why it's stdio cursor, right? It shouldn't be in std library, it should be a Tokyo library. Or maybe it's because they extend stuff from std. Okay. Okay, let's see about this one. Let's take a look at stream. Okay, so here it is, some stream, Tokyo stream, iter from some values. Okay, this is good. So there is some stuff happening here. Okay, so let's take a look at IO once again. Okay, so we can read the line. This is great, of course. But what's interesting for me is how can I take an input stream of stuff from a socket? So let's say I have a TCP listener, right? So I bind to some port on my local host. And then I have some kind of process socket. Okay, so this function processes a socket connection. And what can I do? So here we have, okay, some stuff happening. Can I just emulate somehow this stream itself? Okay, so stream for TCP listener, it's gonna create for us a stream of clients. However, stream of clients is not that important for us because this is mainly for the main process that's gonna handle incoming connections. What's important for us is processing each message, and each message I just want to process completely synchronously. So where is it? Where is this functionality? It's got a little bit more complicated than I remember it. Okay, let's see. NetUDP Unix bindings, great. Okay. So the tasks, that's what we're gonna use for our information about the file itself, about its existence. Okay, so let's start with a simple thing. Let's just create so we have a new test, and we're gonna test that it returns yeah. So first of all, we're gonna give this module a name like related to the actual functionality we're gonna test. So first of all, it's gonna be mode tests, and inside of it we're gonna create another mode, and we will call it let's say we'll move a function in here. Oh, sorry, I didn't switch my screen again. So here it is, and here we're gonna have a mode that will retrieve the size of the image, and will retrieve the image existence. So process image command, and here it's gonna have some tests. So it returns file not found, event. So this is basic separation of concerns. So we will have commands and we have events, and let's start first of all with the definition of the command. So let's create a new struct, right? And this struct is going to be our input command, and this input command probably just going to be a simple tuple with string, or maybe even just string, right? I already don't remember. Or it was an str. I think it was and str, yeah. And what it tells me, run flight time parameters number. Okay. And here it's gonna be a, and I think it's gonna be here for struct as a lifetime a. I don't remember what is the exact syntax for it. I think it's something like that. Didn't do Rust for a while. Okay, let's just go with a string. Let's not worry about the lifetimes and all this optimizations. That doesn't really matter right now. We can do them later. Okay, so this is great. This is our struct for input command, and then we're gonna have a num for output event, and this output event is gonna be two events happening, at least at the moment. One is file not found, right, and it's gonna have a string as a result to indicate the file name that the file was not found. Another one is image dimensions, right? So this is gonna be our event output as a JSON, right? Or as a struct. So image dimensions, and here we're gonna have a strict as a file name, right? A string as file name, and we're gonna have the width as, I think it's gonna be u. Yeah, let's do u32, and here as well u32. What it complains about? Oh yeah, it's just native type. And as the last one, it's also gonna have a string. Okay, so let's do it better for dimensions, because for single attribute I'm okay with using this kind of definition, but source image, for image dimensions, we need to have a better definitions. So it should be a src string with u32, height should be u32, and type, it's gonna be a string value, probably a very simple one. Okay, so what it complains about, let's run it. Let's see what compiler complains about. Unexpected identifier found a keyword. Okay, let's call it mime type. So this is gonna be a mime type. Oh yeah, this is Rust. Rust doesn't like camel case for property names. This is just a standard of the language. Okay, so here we are. We just created our basic input and output data structures with which we are gonna work. So now we're just gonna create some function probably that's gonna return us this data, and probably we're gonna call it process input command, right? And it's gonna use and test is also probably gonna use super. All right, so here we are, and here we're gonna just create a function, and it's gonna be a public function, and we'll call it process command, right? And it's gonna take an input command as an argument, and it's gonna return back an output event, right? So this is it, and let's see, it should not compile because I didn't return anything. Okay, great. We'll just return output event, file not found, an empty value, just to let it compile. String, right? Because who cares? Okay, great. Did you mean okay, string from? Okay, here we are. Oh yeah, remove semicolon, because in Rust can't leak private type. Oh, definitely can't leak private type. Public struct. Sure, I can't leak private type. Okay, so now it compiles. Now we can actually go on and write our test. So as it oh, sorry, on the outside someone writes motorcycle or stuff like that. So what do we have here? So what we're gonna do, we wanna invoke this process command, and then we're gonna assert that the result of processing command, right? Actually, we can even one line it. So first of all, I always like to use as a first argument, I always like to use an expectation. So I assert that file not found, string from, let's say file z does not exists .jpg, right? And here we also gonna have our process command happening, and here we're gonna create, you know what, I'm just gonna right away for a pubstruct, I'm just gonna create an implementation for input command pub fn new and here I think, or for instance from, right, input command from, I think, yeah, it should be a from for string, right? And here it's gonna be for input command itself, and here I should just implement some members for this value. Okay, so data, okay, and here I'm just gonna return input command data, right? And here as well I'm gonna implement from str, right, for input command, and here we're gonna return fn from data and str, right? Here we're just gonna return an input command string from str. And you know what? I can actually also use T, and I can use just templates, and I can just do this. This is dirty nice trick, because it just works. This is Rust, and this is amazing. You can just tell that, yeah, you just want to create an input command and you want to create a string from the input data, and as soon as the data is created, it's gonna work quite fine. So here's the process command, and I assert the output event, and I'm gonna create the input command from this string value. This nice file that does not exist JPEG. Okay, so here it is, and let's run our test. I know it's gonna fail, right? So okay, I don't need to implement this one, I just need to implement something like that, right? What are the definition for this one? Okay, what was my definition before? And what's the problem? Okay, and what's the std looks like? Okay, so I have type T. Okay, this is weird. Oh, okay, because there's already T and T, so yeah, it doesn't just accept a template like that. that data. Right. So implementation T, where you have type. Okay, never mind. Just implement it. Input command, and then we'll have just this from str and we're just gonna return input command input to out, right? So this one should compile. Let's not mess around with traits. Okay. Here we go again with some Rust quirks, and here we need to specify that it derives from equal and partial equal and debug, and the same happens here. Oh, it should be not on implementation, it should be on the struct. Okay, good. Now it fails properly, and it tells us that the file not found is doesn't equal to file not found. So let's go further on and go on creating the functionality itself that is missing. Oh, and you know what else is a problem here? Also, I wanted to make it that it is actually an asynchronous code, so it should be a pub async fn, right? So now it should file okay. Okay, so now it's good. So files that doesn't exist, it's a failure because we don't have an output event created like that. And what else we can do? We can also implement the same thing for output event file not found fn from actually here it's gonna be a file name. Oh, what's up? I just closed. CLion, let's restart you. Let's restart the CLion. Something went ballistic and it just decided, hey, I'm just gonna close on you. So, okay. This is input command. How about output? Output event. What? File not found. Okay. Or we probably just can create a new factory. File not found, right? And this file not found is gonna take as an argument this type T. So file name, and here, yeah, and it's gonna return back self, right? And here image dimensions, here it's also gonna have file name as a type T, and it's gonna have width, okay, this as u32 and height as u32 and MIME type as u32 as well. And it's gonna return us output event type image dimensions, right? Or better call it so image dimensions, good. I think it's fine. Or maybe we just can return an output event and an output event as well. Because I don't remember if it's possible to do something like that one. So string from file name, and here as well output event image dimensions with file name as string from file name. And what's the problem? Add missing fields, yeah. Oh yeah, so it should be src, not that one. Okay, so string from file name, MIME type just should be a MIME type, so it just can be omitted the assignment MIME type. Okay, and here it's going to be actually a string, right? So good. Looks like a good factory method. Okay, so now we can actually create yeah, I need to also make it as public. Why? Oh, unnecessary visibility qualifier. Okay, that's interesting. Why then I can't access this one? Yeah, this is weird. Okay, I have to do it like that. So like that it understands it, but otherwise it won't. Okay, so let's see. It should be definitely sized. Why it's unconstrained? It definitely should be possible to send it, right? Okay, this is weird. Okay. What's the problem here? Why it doesn't compile? Okay, so it should be constrained something like that, right? Why it doesn't compile? Okay, cargo build. Okay, output event. Okay, let's just use string here and be done with it. Unfortunately, I wanted to have it better, but seems like I can't. Okay, so here we are. So it should be string from. Okay, now it should compile, right? Okay, it compiles. Good. So at least some good news. And now I'm just gonna fake it to return back the same thing that we received. Okay, and it doesn't match because I did a mistake here, a redundant E. Okay, that's good. Now let's run it again. Tests are now passing, and finally we can create another test case. Let's say parses what do we do here? Let's say it returns image dimensions, right? Let's say it returns JPEG image dimensions. Quite good. And here we finally gonna use some stuff, right? So it returns JPEG image dimensions, and we're gonna assert that an output event for image dimensions for a file name. Let's say what is the file? Let's see. File macro, what does it do? Is it some kind of this file? Okay. And is there anything else? Is there something like directory or something like that? And this directory. Okay, it doesn't tell us anything. can we do at least something about it? How can I receive a current file? Directory paths. Let's see. Can I ask like fixtures? And let's say 720p 720p dot jpeg, and to owned, right? And here we're gonna use a value of the dimensions. So let's read the dimensions. 128 by 720. 120 1280 by 720. All right, and the image type should be image JPEG as a MIME type. So this is what I expect, and it also should be to owned. So this is our expectation, and it should be a result of the process command of input command from fixtures 720.jpg, right? So why it could work? Because we should be executing this code within this directory, so it should be possible to read a file from that directory. Okay, so it doesn't compile because, oh yeah, I need to also await for a result. Okay, so this is it. We are waiting for the result, and now it still passes. How does it work? Oh yeah, because a very simple thing. I didn't specify that it is a Tokyo test. Okay, let's go on and run. Okay, so now we have a valid error. However, right, there is an issue, like I cannot just go on and implement this function for processing command because yeah, I just want to add some more granularity there. So first of all, right, I want to find a file, so let's start with that one. Let's create a quick check. I think this one we already can easily implement. We can import use Tokyo file system, right? And here we can use fs is file, right? And does it have some functions? Let's dive into the documentation. Let's see. Oh, I think it's metadata, right? Yeah, metadata. Okay, that's good. fs metadata for command 0, right? Does it work? And here we're gonna do await, right? So fails because I'm actually handling over the ownership. Can I ask for metadata without giving ownership? Okay, good. Let's see. Does it run? Use. Okay, fs. Okay, this one runs. File info. Let's print a len as file info. Let's see what it actually returns us back. So let's see. How does it go? Okay. Error not found. No such file or directory in both of the cases. Okay. So what can I do here is actually find a way how to specify the full file path, right? Let's then, if the metadata works like that, so fs metadata wait, right? So let's see what kind of result is actually is happening there. So let's see in which directory we are. So it doesn't return us the path to the file. Okay, that's good. Let's go back to a documentation. Let's see what's happening there and how can I access Rust current file path. Okay, let's see what's the response here. Okay, so actually the file macro gives us some information. So what I need to do then, I just need to create a new function called here, for instance, fixture path, and it's gonna be relative path as an input, and as an output it's gonna be a full-blown string, right? And what I'm gonna do here, I'm just gonna do this file macro, let parent path, right? And I'm gonna use files. Where is it? how's it called? It's called std file. Okay. Okay, it should be, oh no, not this project. Okay, use std file system, or std path probably. Yeah, path is better. And here we're just gonna create paths. Okay, so we need to create just a new path for file, right? For this file and parent. Okay, it should be parent path. Unwrap, right? And can I specify parameters to this parent one? Okay, unwrap, and that parent as well, and again unwrap. So this should be going outside of src directory, right? And oh, I can do it much more better. I can just do, yeah, parent unwrap, and what I can do then, I can return a parent path join with join with relative, and then join with, wait a second, relative fixtures, right? And then I'm gonna join with this relative file path, and then to as str to owned. Will it work? What it tells me? It tells me a bunch of bad stuff. Okay, it should be unwrap and then to owned. Okay. So very long line. Does it compile? It compiles, so probably this kind of code is gonna work. So I'm just gonna specify then a fixture pass here and a fixture pass here as well. Oh no, not here, but for instance here as well. I don't need to use then string anymore, string from, because I can just use the fixture path, and the fixture path works quite great. And I don't need to invoke then this from anymore. I just can use the standard thing, right? And now it finally kind of comes to the idea that it's gonna kind of work. So but not really, right? Because okay, so this should work probably. Let's see. Oh yeah, because picture file. This is what I forgot. Fixture pass. Fixture pass. Okay. Okay, so what we have here? We have now something that reminds more or less good file pass itself. Oh, weird that our regular thing doesn't work quite great. Okay, so let's see. Let's see if now we have at least some metadata. No such file or directory. Why? Okay, Rust. Get current working directory. Let's see. Okay, so this is better. It should be std-env. Okay, with this one I definitely can work with. So it should be std-env, and hope now I finally can do it. So it should be std-env current directory. Okay, let's see. Let's see if it's actually gonna work. Let's hope. Yeah. That should unwrap, and here also unwrap. Okay. Let's see if we actually can see. Oh yeah, definitely. I forgot this. Canadian, nice. Okay, so the current directory seems right. Why the heck it doesn't properly detect it? Okay, this is weird. It is very weird. Okay, let's see. So this is gonna be fun. Join fixtures and join relative paths to string to owned. Let's see. Okay, so this one tells me that the file is not found still. Okay, let's see what kind of print len. Let's see what kind of file path I'm actually sending. Maybe I just sent the wrong file path, and that's actually not a big deal, right? Let's see what's going on there. Seems like a valid file path. Let's verify it. Start. Cannot start. Okay. This is the file that doesn't exist. Okay, that's clear. However, this ah, how dumb, how dumb. Okay, sorry. No, still it is. Oh, it's 620p. All right. And it still tells it doesn't exist because it tells me fixtures. Oh yeah, because I don't need to have prefix for fixtures and fixtures. Okay. Now it tells me that metadata is fine. So what's cool about it? So what's gonna happen here? What's the type of this metadata return? IO result as metadata, right? Why it doesn't work anymore? Oh, it's weird. It's working fine. Okay, match a file info. And so in case if it's invalid data, right, we just gonna return this output event. In case if it's metadata, let's see the metadata. It's weird. Okay, it should be just awk, right? And then this file, right? So what's gonna happen now? Okay, so this is a wrong struct returned back, and in this case we just gonna do an output event of image dimensions with some value, right? and those image dimensions are gonna be created with this nice factory. So it's gonna be comma 0, and let's put 0 0 empty string to owned. And let's see if it compiles. Okay, it compiles. However, the test fails, right? Because I didn't write any functionality over there. Now what I need to do, I need to extract this piece of code. Basically, I think I use this 0 too often. So we're gonna create file name out of it. So command. We actually can use this kind of a structure from a command, right? And then we can use file name instead of command 0, right? And this is gonna be much more nicer. And then what we can do with this one, we can extract a function, and this function gonna be called retrieve image size, right? So let's do that. Oh, image dimensions. And the type that it's gonna retrieve is actually a string, and we don't want to pass it as a reference because this is actually basically the final thing here. So here we are. And it tells is input command is not implemented for string. What? Ah, yeah. That's terrible, terrible thing that it actually doesn't compile. What? Okay, let's do it like that. It looks weird. What it suggests me? Oh yeah, rename to file name. Rename to. And basically, what I can do. I can just do like that. I don't need to have that kind of thing over there. Let's see. Okay, so that's good. Now we can use this library image size. Right, because we're gonna use it in order to retrieve the size of the image. And let's see how it's going on. Okay, looks good. Still failing, so that means we're going in the right direction. What we're gonna do now, we're gonna take an output event. No, we're not gonna take output event. So we are just oh, I didn't switch screen. Sorry. So what are we gonna do? We're gonna go through an output event here. So we have some factories here, and we're gonna create some functionality to read actually first bytes of the file. So we're gonna create a new file. Wait, right? Oh, it can be probably sent like that. Let's see if it still compiles. Okay, it should be async. Okay. Oh yeah, I need to use await here. Okay. Use of undeclared type of module file. Okay. It should be fs. File open, and let's see. Does it compile now? Okay, this is good. And then we also probably want to let our function know the file size, right? I don't know, maybe it's a large one, or maybe just use size just in case. And here we're gonna return here the metadata that I'm gonna refer to the documentation here. Tokyo file system metadata. Okay, and how do I know which attributes are available? Okay, so missing documentation. That's the best thing when the documentation is missing. What can be better, right? Let's see then. let's dump some debug. What basically I want to know, I want to know if I can fetch a size of the file with that function, right? So for now we just pass 0 just to let it compile, and let's see metadata, file type, permissions, this one, modified, accessed, created, and size. No size. How do I know about a file size if there's no size in metadata? That's great. That's very great. Okay, can I access the file size? This is crazy. Okay. Rust file size. Okay. Okay, great. This is great. Now I see that okay, so it's U64. Good. So now I know that the file size is AU64 in Rust. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a function, a variable that will tell me how much of the file data I want to read. And usually, like, you don't want to read the whole file, you just want to read the header of the file in order to know what is the length of the what is the dimension of the file. You don't need the whole file content. However, I'm just gonna make a smart guess here, and I just wanna add some function like mac. Yeah, let's see. Okay, so I need to use Rust CMP for that. Okay, use core CMP max. Okay, or STD as well. Yeah, STD I think works great as well. And here we're just gonna let read length to be equal file size from max file size multiplied by 0.001, so 1% of a file, or it's gonna be 5 kilobytes, so it's gonna be 0, and then it's actually gonna be 1. I think it's something like that, right? Let me verify it quickly. Wow, my knowledge of in-memory calculation is still good. Okay. And here we're gonna have what? We're gonna have into. And let's see what kind of result here is. Let's see what it tells us. Yeah, that I forgot as always to specify this nice shortcut. So read length. Oh, I just can divide it by 100, and that's gonna be it. Okay, good. So I just want to load either 1% of a file or 5 kilobytes, because 5 kilobytes is more than enough to read it, and if it's a very big file it could contain too much headers and maybe we just need to read that length. And now from the file we're just gonna execute file. Why it doesn't have to suggest this await function? Maybe I need to change something in Rust settings in my plugins. Let's see, Rust. Rust, okay. Yes, everything seems fine with the configuration. Some weird so what kind of methods the file has? So file has an open, and then an open can have some methods like read until, as far as I remember. Oh, actually, you know what? I actually wanted to do the other thing. I wanted to use min, and then I wanted to execute this one, so file size, and I wanted to actually choose the less value, like the file size or the 5 kilobytes. And then I wanted to have this file read exact probably, and then this read length. Let's see again into the file metadata, and let's see the file object itself. Let's see, file object, read. So I have to actually use this open options instead of the file. So this should be much better, right? So it should be fs open options. Oh yeah, it's different. Okay, open options, new, read, and then open the file name, and then await, and wrap. Read true. Okay, and how can I read some values here? How can I read it from the file? Hmm. Okay, and how can I just specify the length of the file? It's still unknown. Okay, now I see. So actually I don't need it all this size of the file, because I just can specify let file data be, let mutable file data be 5 to 512. Okay. This is the size of our file data, and then I can do file read and mute. Okay, does it look like that? Yes. Mute and then we just pass in the whole buffer of file. And what's going to be the result of this await? Okay, so it should be a result of how long is the data itself. Okay, so this is interesting. Here we're just gonna go and change it. Probably that's gonna be fine to read it like that. And then we can just use this image size, blob size from this file data, right? So let's see if it's gonna work. Let read size. And here we're just gonna create a slice from 0 till read size, right? So we're gonna provide only the data that we actually read, and let image size be, let size be something like that. So what do we have here? Method not found in fs file. Okay, this is weird. Why? File open and await. This is cool. Okay. This is very cool. Okay, and what can I do with it? This is weird. This is very weird. So we have file data, then we have a read size. Oh, I need probably to import some of the stuff with I need to use Tokyo Prelude as well. Okay, so I need also, apart from fs, I also need to use a prelude in order to import the required methods for the file itself. Right, so now it should cannot borrow is mutable. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Because very simple thing, it should be mutable. Okay, now it finally compiled and returned us something. So then I can just, oh boy, I need to change this function name. Retrieve image dimensions, right? Okay, so here we are. And what we can do here is just return the sizes. So we are just gonna unwrap it, and here we're just gonna return width, size, height, right? And what's the problem with it? Because there's a type mismatch. Why? Because something is not that simple. Okay. So oh, it's in a U size. So let's change the type of our values here. So it should be U size then. And now it should compile, right? Oh yeah, and it should be U size here and U size here. And what it tells us, it tells us that the size is finally read properly. So the last thing that is left to do is to define the image type, right? So we need to find out what is the image type, but we're gonna create a separate test case for that. So we're just gonna fake for now the image type retrieval, right? So the image type should be something like that as a result. Okay, that's good. Now I think this is pretty good. We have an asynchronous function that asynchronously reads first 5 kilobytes of the image, then it passes it into image blob size, and then it interrupts the result. So this is all for today. I'm gonna commit this code into the repository. And add git ignore commit first iteration of the image size retrieval. Okay, push the file to repository. So I'm pretty happy with the result. We have some other testing to do. So it's completely tested. So we have an image dimensions being returned. For now the image size is faked, but we can do it on a further step. Tests run pretty good. As you see, reading these dimensions is less than 1 millisecond, and PHP is just impossible. So thank you very much everyone for tuning in, and